Don't screw it up back and forth?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm the first one, so we'll see if I can use this correctly. Great, thanks everyone. Happy to be here. So this is my first Tech Vancouver event, and actually I'm subbing in for Demir Hott, who's not able to make it, stuck in New York on a sales trip. But if anyone here has had a co-founder, you'll know that after 2 years of a startup, you've spent so many hours together, you start to look and sound like each other. And so he did build some of the slides, and I'll probably put my own, not quite as startup tech-savvy spin on it, because as you know, my background's kind of more in the industry. So really quick about who we are. Canalyst, founded in 2015. Sorry? Okay. Founded in 2015. We've gone from 5 people to 55, although we like to joke we don't like to measure progress by headcount, because that just means you have to write a lot of checks at the end of every month. But we've had a lot of fun so far, some great support from investors here in Vancouver, Vantage Capital, World Quant Ventures in New York, and lots of support from the community. So we're here not to talk about us, but to talk about what are some of the lessons that we learned over the last 24 months, and hopefully kind of give you, what went right, what went not as right, and give you something to think about, I guess. We don't have all the answers. We're 2 years into a startup, so we definitely don't have all the answers. So first of all, what are we doing? Canalyst is in the equity analytics space. Basically, we help recompile financial information that companies report in order to help portfolio managers make better decisions. So business to business, it's kind of a niche play. It's a small market, but it's a very valuable niche, and our users are extremely sophisticated and like the product. So like I said, we're here to kind of talk about what went right. One of the things that I think we did well is we built a product that was useful on day one. So my background, after I left the industry, I decided to build the thing that I wished that I had as a tool. Primarily actually just to see, first of all, if I could build it, and then was convinced by my co-founder Demir, whose background's in sales and software, that it really should be on the web, tech-enabled, and a platform where other portfolio managers and analysts can use it. So one of the things that I would say went right is that pretty much right from launching our minimum viable product, we had customers that were willing to pay for it and started to write us checks. And I guess the biggest lesson is that we've gotten from talking to prospective clients and then converting them to actual clients is not to mistake feedback for validation. A lot of people you'll talk to in the very early days of a startup they might know you from other industries. They'll try to be nice to you. You might have, being an entrepreneur, I think makes people, a lot of positive people. As a founder, you're kind of looking for the bright side of things, and sometimes you tend to not. You tend to have happy years, I guess, is the expression my sales guy Demir likes to use. So get them to kind of put their money where their mouth is, write you a check, prove that it's useful, prove that it's something that is that you're building will solve a problem, and after that you can start getting that it's honest feedback, and you can take that and kind of continue to iterate and continue to improve from there. A thing that was not so great at the start and is where's the tech in this tech startup? So one of the things that we do, like I said, is we're helping to recompile information from company filings, and we're presenting it to investors who like to work in Excel, and from the outside it can look like a very just efficient Excel spreadsheet factory. And one of the things is if you hold yourself to that high bar of you want that minimum viable product to have something that someone's willing to pay for, it might not be that sophisticated on day one. You might not yet have the resources to hire 3 devs and do the thing you want to do, but you can get there, and you'll get there with a product that's in the market where your customers are telling you, what they want, what they're willing to pay for, and that's actually probably the biggest lesson that we have is get it into people's hands and then build something where your clients will do the convincing for you. So our business right now, we're getting 40% of our business from customers and referrals, which is awesome. They're guys that work in the stock market, and Canalyst to them is kind of like a hot stock pick. They they say, this is a product that helps me do my job, it helps me make money. They want to tell their top 3 people around them, hey, check out Canalyst. They don't want to tell everyone because then they won't have an edge, but we'll just take their top 3 because we're business to business and a relatively high contract value. So love those referrals, love those kind of early clients that are evangelists, because you'll get to that middle group eventually, but you need those kind of champions and those early adopters. Demir made this slide. This is not me talking about myself. So he would say having a true domain expert, I guess referring to myself as someone in the industry. Another thing that works out very well is just having someone that's been in exactly the customer's seat, being able to talk to them like, you understand the problems, you understand their day-to-day, you understand how the product that you're selling works with them, how does it integrate in their workflow, how does it help them do their job better. So these are kind of things that you should kind of plan in your organization when you're kind of taking those first steps towards a startup. So I think that's under my 5 minutes. I've tried to keep it pretty tight on time. Are there questions now or afterwards, or? Now, questions now. Great. I will cede the mic. Okay. Question at the back with someone who's... We are not public, and we are not cash flow positive. If any startups in this room after 2 years are cash flow positive, you're doing a really good job. Yes, sir. Anything that went terribly wrong? So yeah, I'd say that there's always going to be kind of dark moments. There's times where probably the darkest story I remember is just discovering a competitor that we hadn't heard of before and going to their website and seeing that they looked better funded and scary and way more people and doing close what we thought as the same thing. And then after not panicking, but after kind of spending time and resources and learning more about the space, seeing that actually wasn't really that competitive and they were trying to solve a kind of totally different problem and just an initial reaction. But I would say to share, that was probably one of the darker 5 minutes is scrolling a potential competitor's website that we didn't know existed.
Over here.
Hey.
So what's the biggest problem you solved with I guess, developing Canalyst, like for investors or for portfolio managers? Like, what's the biggest problem that you encounter as being a portfolio manager, and what problem does this product solve?
Great. So one of the things when you're a portfolio manager, you're looking at potential investments. You're trying to figure out which companies that I should put money into. Your time is the most valuable thing. You've got industry expertise. We cover 3,600 companies. Which of those are you going to spend time on? How do I access that information faster? So what we do is really just we do most of what they might have an associate do, but it's on demand, it's on a web portal, and it basically lets you get up to speed and look at companies' news as it changes and come up with a new recommendation. So really leveraging time, I think, is probably the biggest thing. It's a tool that helps you put in your own forecasts for how a company might perform based on your own view. So, we have a financial model like a Cineplex. You might download it. You could change assumptions on ticket prices, on attendance, come up with your own forecast for revenue and earnings, and then decide what to do with it. So we don't have a view on any buys or sells, but we help you come to your own decision.
So can you tell us what your advantage is to being in Vancouver versus London or New York?
Great question. I think there's a couple very good things about being in Vancouver. The universities, in terms of talent, I think has been just awesome. As a fintech, we kind of rely on both the tech but also the finance side. And Vancouver, has unfortunately not enough finance companies. There's some great big ones like, PH&N or Connor Clark and Lunn and RBC, but the university like UBC is even since I graduated there 10 years ago, the school is 4 times bigger in terms of finance. So there's tons of talent, just like many of you in the room here, young, talented, ambitious, and not enough quality jobs. And at Canalyst, we're really happy to kind of be at a point where we can, I don't like to say taking advantage of a supply-demand imbalance. I like to say that not to lower wages, but to get the best people for a fair market price. And I say compared to New York or somewhere, that's our advantage. Yeah.
And they're hiring, if anyone didn't notice.
So we are hiring. Ashley's here. Where's Ashley? So you can talk to Ashley afterwards. We also have an open house on was it the 7th or 5th?
5 to 7 p.m. It's on our website. Hiring everyone from sales, marketing, dev, and finance roles. So check it out.
Thanks, Ash.
Any other questions? Last question. No, it's just for the video. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you.
So at the beginning, do you guys have any barriers communicating with your customers, being a fresh new company with a new platform? Was there any barriers that stick out to you?
I would say that people in finance tend to be very risk averse and also a little bit startup averse, I would say. I mean, if you're making investment decisions and you're potentially going to rely on a tool for a brand new company, so that's a big risk. And what we did at the very start, I would say that we heavily discounted our service because we wanted to take price out of the equation. We recognized that people were taking a risk kind of at the start, and we didn't want price to be an objection. We kind of wanted other things to be an objection. And then as they kind of saw the value and saw that using us wasn't really risky, they were kind of more willing to adopt it, I suppose. Yeah.
And I'm going to just say that they're hiring because they are hiring like crazy and their sales team is fantastic. I know Sean there, I know Demir. So really recommend if you're looking for a job, take a look at them. James, thank you so much for bringing sexy back, I guess, to the portfolio management space.
Thank you.
A round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you again.